Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Thank you so very much for joining me on this evening. I see you guys come in. As you come in, please make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you have not done so already. Welcome, Cream. Welcome, the woman he chose. Petty Patty, Miss HLS. Good to see you, Big C. What up, though, cuz? That's my real cousin. Alice, good to see you. It's the Rocks. Vicky, not Vicky, good to see you. Linda Hammond, only me. Hey, son, good to see you. Callie, OG22. God did it. Oh, I felt the unction of the spirit with your title. Welcome, God did it. Good to see you. Darius Todd, good to see you. Petty Patty, Blue Bear, all of you guys, thank you guys so much for taking your Wednesday out to hang out with your girl. I really appreciate it. I don't take this lightly. I don't take it lightly. There are a lot of YouTubers out here on these streets right now, and you have chose to come hang out with the Law Intellect. So I am grateful. And do me a favor. Again, make sure you hit the like button so we can get back in this good algorithm that apparently they didn't kick us out of. So people will get their notifications. I did post it on Instagram. If you aren't following me on Instagram, it's Pam ESQ. I am also on TikTok under the same name. I don't really answer on Facebook. So if you go over there, don't get offended if I don't accept your friend request because I'm not going to get it for a good year later because I don't really post over there. I just go on there. If some people tell me, girl, I inboxed you on Facebook, then I got to scroll through 200 inboxes that I didn't know that was there because I'm not over there. So please, I am on Instagram. So go over on Instagram if you want to DM me. Also, my email for this platform as well. Not my firm email. Y'all don't be contacted me on my firm email talking about, what up, Pam? We hadn't heard from you. You ain't been online. If you want to just kick it, go to the lawintellects@gmail.com and you can ask me how I'm doing. And I'll respond. All right. Anything YouTube related, that's what I want you guys to do. Okay. Because some of y'all, I've had a couple of people, I'm pretty certain they made up a case, just so we can talk. I'm calling back. I'm thinking they're about to really get into the nitty gritty of what's going on. And they're like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm talking to you. I'm like, sir, do you have a case? Oh, I cannot believe I got you on the phone. Do you got it? I talked to y'all in the chat. I talked to you in the membership. I am not far away. Okay. So anyway, make sure you guys follow that protocol, all right? Those are the announcements for this Wednesday. You said I'm going to call and ask for Pammy Pam. Listen. I'm like, do they realize I really work in real life? I think some of y'all think I'm just what Bishop Whitehead called me, the YouTube attorney, the failed YouTube attorney. That's what I think. Some of y'all think that I really don't work in real life. That's what y'all think.
You the clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you said on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
True story. So this is my cousin, right? So he calls me, and you guys, been following me for a while. He calls me one day. Yeah, I'm putting you on blast, cuz he said, I didn't know you and Bishop Whitehead weren't cool. He was like, that's my man's. I was like, oh no. I'm like, cuz he hates my guts. He literally dragged me all over this internet. He said I was bald-headed. He like was dragging on one Sunday morning, instead of doing a sermon, he did a whole presentation about me. And that's your homeboy, and you my first cousin. Like, we like almost brothers and sisters. And that like, what? He hates my whole guts. But he hated my guts because he was out here on these internets trying to recreate, like he was trying to be revise history, those type of people, them historian revisionists. That's what he was trying to be out here doing. And so he made up all these stories of being wrongfully convicted, and he was about to be exonerated. But I do wrongful convictions. So I was like, oh, let me look into his story, because I've never heard of him, right? And so I said, well, let me go look into him and see what's going on. I look up his record. I'm like, this ninja lying. He got off on the technicality where he got convicted of everything. He just got out early. This was back when he went to jail, back before he just went now. He got off early because it was some discrepancy, I believe, in how the judge did his counts. He had so many counts, and some of the ones that the jury dismissed, I think the judge added on. It was some complication of which he found the complication. And so he was able to get out early. Okay. So it wasn't like they said he was wrongfully convicted. It wasn't like he was exonerated. He just got out early. So I got the transcripts, and I was going over the transcripts, and he let me go for about 6 months. And he was like, she's obsessed with me, her whole channel. And I ain't gonna lie, I probably had about 20 videos of him at that time. But he was like, she's obsessed with me. Her whole channel is about me. She only makes money off of me. Does she ever practice? Because all she does is talk about me. So and then the different people that he was basically stealing from, they were reaching out to me and giving me, letting me know what was going on in court, and I was covering it. So he was getting mad. And then, me, I hopped the plane, and I did go to some of his hearings. And then I was the only person that was there when he got remanded to custody after he was federally convicted. You know what I'm saying? So he just really hated my guts. He looked at me like he just would just, if he could have got away with it in that federal court, I think he would have risked it all. He would have risked it all. That's how much he hated me. But when my cousin was like, cuz that's my man, I'm like, how do you know this clown? What are you talking about? How do you know this fool? Do you not know this is a whole goofball, cuz? He is a whole scam-a-lot goofball. And you're sitting up there talking about. So I had to look at my cousin like, I had to start giving him the side eye, because I'm like, why do you know him? I had to start looking at him like, thank you, Ray. You cover him well, especially the Glory of God church stuff. Man, that was a big rabbit hole. The Glory of God, that was a lot going on. Sit through, my friend, you better not. But what friends you got, cousin? You might have to hit the link. I need to know what friends you have, of which y'all hang out with Bishop Cardboard, Scam-a-Lot, Whitehead. Huh? Did you let him pray for you? Because if you do, we might have to do a family gathering and do some deliverance on you. Did you let that man pray for you? That's what we want to know. He said, yeah, this is my cousin. So everybody give him grief because he was cool with Whitehead. He literally called me. Now, this after he went to prison, and I must have just talked about him or something randomly on here. And he was like, I didn't know you was beefing with him. I'm like, what? He hates my guts, literally. If I was on fire and he had a cup of water, he would probably be just like this. Wait a minute. He'd be like, oh, I'm over here flaming. He'll be like, he ain't pouring a lick of water on me. Okay. All right. But we glad you ain't let him pray for you. All right. But y'all keep my cousin in your prayers because he wasn't, basically he told on himself that he wasn't watching me. Right, Ray? Cousin wasn't following. No, cousin wasn't supporting his cousin. That's what was really happening. That's why I got new cousins, y'all up here in this chat. That's exactly why. Because this is my cousin, the one that didn't watch me and didn't know that I was beefing with Whitehead. My first cousin. My daddy and his daddy are brothers. Mm-hmm. The way he disliked you really tickled me. Yeah, he hated my guts. I don't know how he ain't know that. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Russell Simmons. So Russell Simmons, y'all know he went over there and he went to Bali, and all of a sudden he was all about peace and tranquility. And every time he's talking, he got his legs folded in the yoga positions, and he's just living a peaceful life. And so people were making different statements when all of this stuff started happening with Diddy. Like, shoot, you might want to go on over there to wrestle, where Russell at. Like those were the statements. But what had happened was people go over there. We've seen Usher. We've seen a couple of other actresses, people that go over there and visit him. But he's purchased a lot of property over there. He does not plan on leaving over there. And he was sued when all of these lawsuits were coming out for sexual harassment and all of that. Russell Simmons was sued as well. And he's kind of went under the radar because we touched on it over here, but we got so consumed with Diddy. And then when Jay-Z got thrown in the pot, that was just a whole nother situation. So he kind of just sat back over there doing his doing all his little poses and stuff and doing his stretches and all of that. He just kind of, we stopped talking about him. Nobody really talked about him. We knew he had a lawsuit because we went over it at one point and a couple of other content creators did. So when I was going through my whole what's going on with these cases, you said Russ was warned to leave? But anyway, so when I was going through all my cases, a lot of times if the case was not like you guys didn't take to it and they seem that interesting, then I'll just for completion, because of who I am, I have to complete it. I put in my membership different documents and stuff so that I'll say, like Christina Patterson, the judge, like different things. Sometimes we just randomly talk about people and we don't follow it as close. And so I was actually looking to see what cases that I hadn't followed up on to see what was going on. Lo and behold, Russell Simmons case came across my little desk on what is going on. So Oh God, here come my allegedly, cousin, allegedly. We was not there. We don't know nothing about Sarah. We don't know nothing about none of these people. We don't know who did he mess with and didn't mess with. But I'm sure if Sarah sued him, whatever it is about to come out. So it's alleged. She said everything was not consensual, whatever inappropriateness. I have not even read the lawsuit because I just wasn't even that interested. I'm kind of over a lot of the Diddy stuff. And he is attempting to dismiss a lot of these cases based on the Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act not covering the cases they're talking about. So he's probably going to start getting stuff dismissed procedurally real soon. Real soon. So I used to manage someone in the band. Oh God. So yeah, my cousin was in the music industry, but we're gonna we just keep it alleged over here, okay? All right, Big C, we just keep it alleged over here. I don't need nobody coming after me for a couple of dollars because I don't want to spend my money like that. So anyway, Russell Simmons was sued by a Jane Doe, and basically they don't have jurisdiction over him. Because why? He is in Indonesia. So let's go ahead and the beginning of it talks about what the case was about, just in case you guys don't remember. But it's Jane Doe versus Russell Wendell Simmons. Did you guys know his middle name was Wendell? So the plaintiff, Jane Doe, brought this action against Russell Wendell Simmons, alleging that he actually harassed and assaulted her. The plaintiff invoked federal subject matter jurisdiction based on the alleged complete diversity of the parties. So they're saying that this court in the Southern District of New York, where all the rest of these cases are filed, what Jane Doe was alleging that this was the proper forum for this case based on diversity, saying they live in different states. The plaintiff invoked federal subject matter jurisdiction based on the alleged complete diversity of the parties. The defendant, which is Simmons, now moves for judgment on the pleadings, arguing that the plaintiff lacks subject matter jurisdiction. The plaintiff alleges that she is domiciled in California and that the defendant is domiciled in New York, while the defendant contends that he is stateless American citizen domiciled in Indonesia. For the following reasons, the motion for judgment on the pleading is granted. So she basically filed her complaint, and then Russell Simmons' attorney. Now, this is the case, if you guys don't remember, Jane Doe's attorney got a process server, and we went over the affidavit, got the process server to fly over to Indonesia. It's a small little location or whatever in Bali, of which he stays. He went to some type of a shop, asked them, hey, your boy Russell here? And they were like, no, he's not here yet. Well, who are you? Oh, I'm just a friend. Oh, well, have a seat. He'll be here soon. So he sat at the counter. He waited for Russell to come in. He was like, hey, Russell. He was like, yeah. He's like, you've been served. And Russell was like, oh, man, they done got me. So he called his lawyer while he was there. So all of this, like the actions were written in this affidavit. So they did fly over there in order to serve him. So, and he responded with a motion to dismiss, saying this court does not have jurisdiction because he is a stateless American citizen who is domiciled in Indonesia. So he's been in Indonesia for years, and he's established a domicile, meaning a permanent residency. He plans on staying there and does not plan on leaving. That is his domicile. And so now the court has went through this analysis and come to the conclusion that, yeah, he is domiciled over there, and we don't have jurisdiction. So therefore, his motion to dismiss the case was granted. But let's get into the facts. That's for all the ones that just don't want to wait till the end. So you want to know what happened, because, that's actually what we do in our legal memos. Like, we'll put an issue. We'll put the conclusion at the top. And so before we want our paralegals to even tell us about the analysis, we want to know what the end is. So I know some people think that way. They just want to know. They don't want to wait for the big surprise. So that's what it's about. So anyway, the plaintiff alleges that she was actually harassed, assaulted, and raped by the defendant, a music producer and co-founder of Def Jam Recordings, while working as a senior level music exec at Def Jam Recordings in the mid-90s. The plaintiff alleges that the defendant's actions caused her emotional distress and harm to her career. The plaintiff alleges that this action against the defendant is timely pursuant to the New York's Adult Survivors Act. The plaintiff alleges claims for actual battery and assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a crime of violence motivated by gender in violation of NYC Admin Code Section 8-903. The defendant, after filing an answer to the amended complaint, filed a motion for judgment on the pleadings pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 12C, asserting that the court lacked subject matter jurisdiction over the action, that a general release of all claims barred the plaintiff's actions, and that the plaintiff's claims were time barred. The court permitted the plaintiff to engage in limited discovery relating to the citizenship of the defendant and the validity and applicability of the general release of the claims. After limited discovery, which included a deposition of the defendant, so Russell Simmons was deposed, the court denied the defendant's first motion for judgment on the pleadings without prejudice. So it looks like at first they filed an answer, then they filed a motion to dismiss the case, and then the court denied it without prejudice, meaning you can bring this motion back. But for that moment, it was being denied. So then the defendant filed a renewed motion for judgment on the pleadings, focusing solely on the subject matter jurisdiction issue. So when the court felt like it was a question of fact, because what it was he did his motion for judgment on the pleadings and he gave several reasons. So he gave the general release of claims because there was a release with an NDA, and in that release, it said you basically release him of any type of actions that you would try to bring. So he was alleging or arguing it would have covered any alleged actual assaults or harassments as well when he signed that release. He had that, and he also talked about the time barred, which is something that Diddy is also claiming in a lot of his motions to dismiss, and the court basically denied it without prejudice, meaning after further discovery, maybe you can bring it back, but for now, I'm not dismissing it. So what Russell Simmons did was he filed a renewed motion, and he was like, forget all that, forget all the different defenses. I'm just going to focus on whether this court even has jurisdiction over me. So he filed a renewed motion for judgment on the pleadings, focusing solely on the subject matter jurisdiction issue and arguing that the plaintiff failed to establish complete diversity of parties, and the court now considers that motion. Where Rule 12C motion asserts that a court lacks subject matter jurisdiction, the motion is governed by the same standard that applies to a Rule 12B1 motion. Accordingly, as the party seeking to invoke the subject matter jurisdiction of the district court, the plaintiff bears the burden of demonstrating by a preponderance of the evidence that there is subject matter jurisdiction in the case. So that is the standard. Let's keep it moving. Under 28 U.S.C. 1332A, a federal court has subject matter jurisdiction over an action that is between 1, citizens of different states, or citizens of a state and citizens or subjects of the foreign state where the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. So that is what needs to be proven to show that the federal court has subject matter jurisdiction based on diversity. For an individual, citizenship depends on the state in which that person is domiciled, meaning that place where a person has his true fixed home and principal establishment and to which, whenever he is absent, he has the intention of returning. A United States citizen domiciled, domiciled abroad is stateless for the purposes of Section 1332 and is therefore neither a citizen of any state of the United States nor a citizen of a foreign country, a foreign state. So basically, if you are abroad and you're domiciled, meaning you have a permanent fixed resident over there, then you're stateless. You're not considered for these purposes. You're neither a citizen of any state of the United States or a citizen of a foreign state. Accordingly, such a person fits into none of the categories contemplated by Section 1332, and a suit by or against a United States citizen domiciled abroad may not be premised on diversity. So you cannot claim diversity jurisdiction because they're domiciled abroad. Factors to consider when determining a party's domicile include current residence, voting registration, driver's license and automobile registration, location of brokerage and bank accounts, membership in fraternal organizations, churches and other associations, places of employment or business, and payment of taxes. Did y'all know that? Did you know that that's how they determine your domicile? Courts also consider whether a person owns or rents his place of residence, the nature of the residence, and the location of a person's physician, lawyer, accountant, dentist, stockbroker, but ultimately no single factor is determinative. So they just weigh the factors. There's no factor that's more special than the other factor. They just weigh all the factors. Domicile is established initially at birth and is presumed to continue in the same place absent sufficient evidence of a change. So wherever you were born at, that is considered your domicile until you show that you have a intention of going and living someplace else permanently, like a fixed permanent residence. You said, but does he? We got to get to that. Fine, 9J. We got to get to that. You said, but does he still pay taxes? We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in a second. All right. In order to establish a change in domicile, a party must show first residence of a new domicile and second the intention to remain there. A party alleging that there has been a change of domicile has the burden of proving the residence in a new domicile and the intention to remain by clear and convincing evidence. However, a party seeking to challenge diversity by alleging a change of domicile does not bear the burden of proving that change if the party seeking to establish diversity has not carried its prior burden of establishing a specific initial domicile from which the change would be departure. So let's get into the analyses. In this case, the plaintiff, Jane Doe, asserts that the defendant, Russell Simmons, is domiciled in New York. So that's what they were premising it on. They were saying that he really lives in New York, she lives in California, they have diversity. Specifically, the plaintiff argues that the defendant was born and raised in New York and has not met his burden to show a change in his initial domicile by clear and convincing evidence. So they're arguing he was born and raised there and he has not shown that he really has moved away from New York. The defendant responds that the plaintiff failed to establish that the defendant was domiciled in New York at the time the complaint was filed, and that in actuality, the defendant was previously a citizen of California and is now domiciled in Indonesia. Even assuming that the plaintiff successfully established that the defendant was at one point domiciled in New York, the defendant has provided clear and convincing evidence that he was domiciled in Indonesia when the complaint was filed. The defendant first traveled to Indonesia in 2018. So Russell been over there in Bali for a minute. He has lived in multiple residences in Indonesia since 2018, and he intends to remain in Indonesia. And apparently there was a deposition because they're quoting the transcript from the deposition. In November 2021, after receiving 3 temporary visas, the defendant was granted a permanent Indonesian retirement visa. So he is over there permanently on a retirement visa. The defendant sold his New York apartment in 2021. That's according to Russell's declaration. The defendant lives on the property of a hotel in Indonesia. That's what he said in the debt transcript. The hotel is owned by a company in which the defendant holds the majority interest, and the company has a 25-year lease on the property. That is also in the transcript. These facts show that the defendant has not been domiciled in New York since at least 2021, if not earlier. Bible lady said, Russell said, I ain't never going back. Russell, this just looks real strategic to me. But hey, maybe he just went to Indonesia and found peace, and he didn't know all these people was going to be trying to sue him. Maybe that's what happened. He didn't know all these people was going to come after him. Well, I ain't going to say all these people because I think it was only like 2 or 3, maybe 2 or 3 lawsuits. First, he was named in a lawsuit against L.A. Reid, and we were all wondering why he wasn't named as a party. He was just named like all the stuff she was alleging that was done. I think her name was Erica Dixon. So I think all of this was named, like his name kept coming up. And I was like, why is she talking about Russell Simmons more than she's talking about L.A. Reid? And so there were a few articles, if you guys Google it, that also came out about women that were making some allegations. I don't know the specific number of lawsuits that he had against him, so I don't even want to make it up, because as you see, Russell is currently in litigation with Kimora, saying Kimora and her fake husband or whatever he was that got indicted stole part of a business from him and stole some stock or used the bonds and stocks for his bond, and it got forfeited and all of that. So he's suing her over in California. So he was all right to go ahead and file him a lawsuit over in the States. He just like, y'all ain't gonna file it against me because I live in Indonesia. Okay, so he let us know he ain't got no problem, and he sued her for defamation too, I think. So he ain't got no problem suing folk over there in California. So he don't got no problem coming to the United States to sue you. He just saying when you want to sue him, you don't got jurisdiction because I don't live here. That's basically what he's saying. So yeah. You want me to book us a flight so you can interview Uncle Russ? You think Russell will talk to me? I actually knew his one of his managers. I'm about to call this manager. I'm be like, you think Russell Simmons will talk to me? Let me see if he let me see. What time is it? Oh, 8:26. Like, you think Russell Simmons will talk to me if I want to do an interview? They might laugh at me. It was Celsius. Yeah, that company. You know a whole lot, cousin. You know a lot about all these shenanigans going on. We might need to have a conference call. You said you know Russ ain't gonna talk to you, Mama. He might. I just want to get the facts. I'm not biased. I just want to know, is any of this true? Yes or no? I think he already did deny it in some other interview. I just want to get down to the nitty gritty. But the thing about Russell Simmons is it's not like he does not come into the United States, because he still does come here. He comes here for parties, because there was an event that I was going to go to about a year ago, and he was there. So he still comes. He just doesn't make an announcement. He doesn't go on Instagram. He doesn't go on Facebook. You just might see a picture or two. And by the time you see the picture or two posted by somebody else, he already back in Indonesia. So you said if I got the interview, it'd be wild. I'm asking, like, you still talk to Russell Simmons? Hold on. They ain't even answer. They probably know I was on some shenanigans. Mom's the boss. Thank you so much for being a member for 11 months. Good evening to you. I appreciate that. Hey, Mr. Simmons, my tens of thousands of subscribers, and I would like to ask you about this case. We not biased, though. Just got questions. For real. No judgment, no condemnation. We just got questions. We're very respectable with our questions. I'm going to see if I can make that happen. I'm going to see. Too sharp, shake numbers. Because one thing about Russell is Russell dipped out, and with all of these lawsuits, like he was one of the first one getting lawsuits. Him, L.A. Reid, they were like some of the initial ones. So the fact that people just stopped talking about Russell, and I think that's what he wanted. Now people not even thinking about him, except for me, because I want to know what happened. So that's what made me look it up. But yeah, I think it's interesting how nobody really talks about him as much as they do everybody else. So you said we listen and we don't judge. You said, I want to know why y'all haven't hit the like button. Y'all hear my sister. You know she don't play about that like button. Cousin, make sure you clean. These folks might dig something up on you. The bloggers are waiting. So, no. Some people are respectful. The other people in the comments go in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to maybe I have to make it where he can't see the comments. I may have to turn the comments off the members only or something. So the only people that can comment are the members, because they, for the most part, you know, they don't really be going off like that. But some of y'all, man, out of sight, out of mind, pretty much. Deborah said, I don't like the way he speaks to his daughter. Deborah, what if he watching right now? He not gonna come on, Deborah, because he like, I know they're gonna go off on me about how I talk to my daughters. But I got questions though. We have to slide into the slick questions. You can't just, you know, go in like that. The trolls gonna come. All right, let's finish and hear what the judge had to say. So then the judge went over the Kennedy factors and said they also support the defendant's contention that he is not domiciled in New York. Okay. The defendant is not registered to vote in New York, and he voted most recently in California. The defendant has an Indonesian driver's license. Oh, he was in it. He in it to win it. He done got a driver's license in Indonesia. That's according to his declaration. The defendant last paid United States taxes in California for the tax year ending December 31st, 2022. So even when he was in the States, like he said, he was domiciled in California. And that's where he sued his ex-wife as well. So no, for the person that was asking about the taxes, the last time he's paid is December 31st of 2022. So apparently he ain't paying taxes no more. In sum, the defendant has successfully shown a change in domicile to Indonesia by clear and convincing evidence. The plaintiff, Jane Doe, primarily relies upon the defendant's media statement and social media posts the defendant's intermittent trips to New York, the defendant's payment of rent in New York for his daughter's apartment, and his business connection and bank account in New York to show domicile. So this is what the plaintiff is trying to rely on. Things he said in the media, things he said on different posts, things, the fact that he does come to New York intermittently or whatever, and shows his face for certain events, and he still has a bank account. So that's what they're trying to say. He hasn't moved. But my goodness, the man has a whole driver's license now. He's been there since 2018 for the most part, and it seems like hasn't left really since 2021, except every now and then. He owns the business that he owns the majority of, owns the place of which he stays, and they're leasing it out for 25 years. So that's kind of a long time. And you had to fly a process server to serve him in Indonesia. You couldn't even catch him in the US. So I don't think the little stuff that you were saying was really showing domicile. But anyway, however, social media posts and intermittent visits to New York do not establish domicile, particularly in light of Simmons' sworn testimony that, quote, America is not my home. I think I'm going to change that title to that. America. Hey, Thais, good to see you. America is not my home. Hey, favorite one. Thank you for being a member for 9 months. I appreciate that. Girl, you late. Where you been? I need you to explain to me why you so tardy. We've been on for 40 minutes. We almost on our way out. Where you been? Tata-licious delicious. Where you been? You done missed everything. You know I'm joking. You're never late. Welcome to everybody that's going to hit the replay. All right. That's important. You stay at work, because I don't have any money to take care of anybody that get fired because they want to watch this, and they could just watch this on the replay. But thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. You said I'm always late. You got to cut that out. That's not good. They don't have him, quite the opposite. MNPD Finance said, Pam, I'm on replay, but after last night on TV, that is Orange Thing, because I refuse to say his name. I'm going to become a dual citizen. I'm not going to deal with him. A lot of people have done that. You know, I didn't even raise my blood pressure up to watch that. I already knew what it was going to be. I knew the foolishness that it was going to entail, and I just wasn't interested. Hey, Granny. Oh, y'all coming in late. Girl, the show is over. Where y'all been? But if you get fired, let us know. We will write your boss why you deserve your job back. That's true. We will give you a letter of recommendation. All right. So anyway, he said, America is not my home. The defendant's payment for a child's house in New York does not support a conclusion that the defendant resided in New York. The court therefore lacks diversity of citizenship, subject matter jurisdiction under 28 U.S.C. 1332, and without jurisdiction, the district court lacks the power to adjudicate the merits of the case. And that's over at Carter v. Healthport Tech, LLC, and that's in the Second Circuit. In conclusion, United States District Judge John Coltle, I probably messed his whole name up, said the court has considered all the arguments of the parties to the extent not specifically addressed above. The arguments are either moot or without merit. Accordingly, the case is dismissed without prejudice for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. The clerk is directed to enter judgment dismissing the complaint without prejudice. The clerk is also directed to close this case and to close all pending motions. So it is without prejudice. However, you guys know all these statutes that these individuals, these women that were coming forward alleging these assaults, against these music industry moguls such as Diddy and all. There's statutes of limitations on those. So if this was dismissed without prejudice, we don't know if, I think the only thing that would have been left is that gender motivated Protection Act, which is what Busby is filing a lot of his claims under. The other act had already expired. What is the name of it? What is the name of that act? Let me see. The ASA, New York Adult Survivors Act. I believe that has already expired. And I think about a week ago, the gender motivated violence, something was going on with that too. So we'll see. We'll see if they decide to try to find a way to refile, or if they just gonna leave him alone, because I don't know how they're gonna get jurisdiction over him. They're gonna go to Indonesia. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. So it's without prejudice, but I don't know how they're going to be able to secure him to proceed with this claim. So there's that. Russell Simmons has gotten up out of this lawsuit, and he is over there. What was Tina Turner doing? She was doing all. I can't play with them chances. I don't want to conjure up no spirits unless it's the Holy Spirit. So, but yeah, he over there humming and relaxing and lighting candles and hitting bells and having a little incense and stuff. He's doing all of that right now. And he was like, when you live in peace, then peace comes to you. So he has been able to avoid this lawsuit. There's that. Y'all be getting on my sister's nerves. She told y'all there is no statute of limitation on these likes. So get these likes up. You said doing Buddhist chants. I think that's what he over there doing. I don't know. I don't play patty cake with demons. So I don't know what they over there doing. So anyways, that's it. What else y'all want to talk about? We done with Russell. Russell done escaped. Y'all do know there was an affidavit filed, of course, again today in the Jay-Z saga, because they're never going to let that go. So I'm going to read that real quick, because I'm definitely not going to do a whole nother live on that. So there was an affidavit that was filed in response to the affidavit by Jane Doe that was filed yesterday or the day before, whenever we did our live. And someone for Sean Carter, Jay-Z, they basically made a declaration, and they said on Friday, February 21st of 2025, along with investigator James Butler, I met with plaintiff Jane Doe, the person on whose behalf defendants filed the lawsuit, caption, and it got the lawsuit number, in the Southern District of New York on October 20th of 2024. To protect Ms. Doe's privacy and identity, I am not disclosing her name or any other facts that enabled me to conclude the woman I met was in fact Ms. Doe. We met with Ms. Doe on the front porch of her home in Alabama. Ms. Doe confirmed that she was in fact the Jane Doe plaintiff in the lawsuit. Ms. Doe, Mr. Butler, and I were the only people present. Throughout our discussion, Ms. Doe appeared calm and at ease. She maintained a natural demeanor and engaged in conversation freely. Ms. Doe's body language, including her nodding, relaxed posture, and steady tone of voice, reinforced that she did not feel scared or intimidated during our interaction. They doing so much in this affidavit, it makes me go, At no point during our interaction did Ms. Doe request to be left alone. During our conversation, Ms. Doe told me, among other things, the following facts. A, she saw an advertisement on Facebook for the AVA Law Group law firm concerning Sean Combs. B, the AVA Law Group referred her to defendant Tony Busby and his law firm. C, Miss Doe met Mr. Busby for the first time in Houston, Texas. He paid to fly her there. Their meeting to discuss the case took place when Miss Doe flew out for an interview that Mr. Busby had arranged for Miss Doe to give to NBC News in Mr. Busby's office. D, Jane Doe stated to me that Mr. Carter did not actually assault her. So allegedly, they went to Jane Doe's house. She was all calm and she was like, "Hey, would you guys like some tea? Oh, get comfy. Oh, yes, we can chit chat, even though I'm being represented, by my attorney. I'm just going to talk to you knowing that you work for the other side. And I sued you guys as a Jane Doe." So I sat here and I just said, "Oh, no, I lied. He didn't do anything to me." Jane Doe stated to me that she originally told Mr. Busby that she had been raped by Sean Combs, and a world-renowned female celebrity was also present for the assault, and that Mr. Busby suggested that she claimed that Mr. Carter was another rapist. So now she's saying, "Oh, I never brought up Jay-Z. I said it was just," didn't I tell y'all? I was like, Jay-Z is not really protecting Diddy at all. He is trying to separate himself. It's just Diddy got some of the residual benefits because they were both fighting these claims kind of in the same lawsuit, right? So in this affidavit, allegedly Jane Doe was like, "No, I originally went to Busby and said it was just Diddy and it was some unknown female celebrity, but I never mentioned Jay-Z. He told me that I should put Jay-Z in here." Busby. Jane Doe stated, quote, "Busby brought Jay-Z into it," end quote. "And he was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him, with Jay-Z," end quote. Jane Doe said that Mr. Busby asked her if Mr. Carter had been at the party. Miss Doe told Mr. Busby that Mr. Carter was at the party, but she told me that Mr. Carter did not take part in any actual assault of Miss Doe. Jane Doe confirmed the following regarding Mr. Carter during our interview. 1, quote, "Jay-Z had nothing to do with this, correct?" "Right," end quote. 2, quote, "Other than he was at the party that you were at, so I mean he did not assault you?" "No," end quote. Quote, "He was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any actual acts towards you." "Yeah," end quote. Jane Doe said to me that lawyers at Mr. Busby law firm told her that if she pursued Mr. Carter, she would get a payout. Miss Doe said to me that shortly before Mr. Busby dismissed the lawsuit against Mr. Carter, Mr. Busby told Miss Doe that Mr. Carter, do y'all hear all this hearsay? Y'all hear all this hearsay within hearsay in this affidavit? Mr. Busby told Miss Doe that Mr. Carter was threatening to kill her, and Miss Doe stated 4 times that Mr. Carter did not assault her. After Miss Doe had voluntarily and consistently affirmed this, we inquired whether she would be open to signing an affidavit reflecting what she had told us, because that's really what should have happened right now, is an affidavit of her saying, "I did not say that he did this. Busby was the one who put her in the lawsuit." This is an affidavit of a bunch of hearsay. She responded by saying, quote, "But how does this help me?" So now it sounds like she's not going to put it in the affidavit because she's not getting a benefit. So then this Charlotte person said, "I declare under the penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California that the foregoing is true and correct." And this was executed on March 4th, which is yesterday of 2025. So this is what I'm saying. saying the lady is telling the truth. I'm not saying that. I never believed what she said. But what I am saying is that as a person that has to have affidavits, it's personal knowledge. And yes, you are saying he told me, she told me. She's gonna say she denied it. She's already did an affidavit saying that whatever. So she's gonna deny it. She did an affidavit saying that she stood by her claims 2 weeks ago. So now you got he said, she said. Perhaps, hopefully, there's a recording. I wouldn't see why you would not, because when I do interviews of whoever, whatever witnesses, I record it most of the time, because you do want something to kind of corroborate. And sometimes you do get your recordings. You ask for permission to record. They usually tell you, yeah. And then you just go ahead and you ask the questions or whatever, because you're like, I don't have time to really write it down because I'm trying to get all the information I can, but I'm going to go get it transcribed. So you may be able to utilize that later, but I don't understand how this is going to be helpful if this lady is already saying that he did it and she's standing by her story. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's very interesting. But shout out to Jay-Z and their lawyers, because they're going hard in the paint. They ain't letting up. They got their foot on the neck. Okay. They have the foot on the neck and they are not letting up. So shout out to them. She needs to just give it up. It's sounding dumber and dumber. Yeah, I think it's definitely a stretch. But I always said that it's going to be difficult for her to prove her credibility. She's not the most credible. But doing all of this stuff, and the problem is Busby does have recordings of investigators. We know that the investigators, and how did the investigators find out who she was? Are we going to answer that question? How did they even find out who she was? If she went as Jane Doe, how did y'all find out? And if the attorney didn't tell you, who let you know who she was? And then as soon as you found out who she was, you sent people to go talk to her. And see, this is why Busby in the filing, he was saying that he didn't want to say who Jane Doe was, because they made it like, they know that they've talked to other people and they approached other people, and she was scared. So this is interesting. We'll see how it goes. But this affidavit is in. If you guys don't know, Jay-Z has sued Busby even before Busby added him to that complaint with Diddy back in October. Until at first it was just Diddy. Then he added Jay-Z. And when Jay-Z knew that the complaint was forthcoming, Jay-Z filed a lawsuit, a defamation lawsuit, and I think it has some other counts against Busby and his firm and the attorneys. So these affidavits that we are seeing are coming from those lawsuits, okay? In Texas, Busby, I believe, has sued Emmanuel Quinn as well. So Busby has sued them in Texas, or sued some attorneys affiliated with them. May not have been the actual firm, but it was some attorneys that was affiliated with them or something that they were alleging was poaching, trying to get these clients and soliciting them to basically file these lawsuits against Busby. So he has another lawsuit over there in Texas, okay? So it's just a lot going on. And Busby said he not about to be bullied. He don't care how many lawsuits you file. He don't care how much intimidation you do. He not going nowhere, because you're not going to punk him. Busby said you're not going to punk him. And so they're going tit for tat. Jay-Z just wants to clear his name. He wants everybody, because again, Busby was shown not to have had the ability to practice in the Southern District, so he had to dismiss the case. So there was an assumption that part of you dismissing it with prejudice instead of without prejudice to be able to refile it someplace else is because she didn't tell the truth. So Busby had her do an affidavit to say she stood by what she said, but she was scared of these people that came to her house, and she felt threatened. So yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. If he's not scared, why did he dismiss with prejudice? Well, I hope I answered your question before, I clicked on. He had to dismiss the case because he couldn't practice there, But with prejudice, again, was probably, in my opinion, I think he knew that it was going to be hard, even if he believed his client. I think he knew it was going to be it was an uphill battle because her credibility, this is a credibility contest. And she don't come across as the most credible person. She just does not. All of her facts weren't faxing. The timelines weren't matching. None of that. So I agree with Jay-Z on that. I always said that. But when it comes to the dismissing it, he's not going to say that he believed that his client didn't really tell the truth. But then you got Jay-Z immediately coming out when it was dismissed. I told you he was a liar. He's a 1-800 lawyer. He's an ambulance chaser. So now Busby has to come out and say, I, as an attorney, did not file anything frivolous. Like, I really believed in my client. My client said she was going to take a lie detector test, and I've never had a client to say that. So he's going to stand by that he believed her. He's going to stand by that because, like, how you going to admit that you just filed something that could be frivolous because you didn't properly investigate? So that's that. But since he dismissed it, now he opened himself up for lawsuits. Who? Busby? All those lawsuits were filed already while the case was going. And again, Busby didn't have in my opinion, unless he was able to get another lawyer that would have taken over that case, which I don't think he would have gotten. Look at all of this. Who want to go through all of this? I mean, on a client that you don't know of, like if they're going to hold up on the stand, a client whose own father is not backing what she said, a client who has a lot of mental health challenges that has caused her to catch cases and assaults, a client who allegedly accused other people of sexual assault in the past and the courts dismissed it. So that means from a criminal standpoint, the court dismissed it when you said it, I guess. That's a difficult client to try to be windmilling for. So I know if he called me, I'd have been like, nah, hell no. And I got to fight over here with Quinny Manuel every day. All money ain't good money. I'm straight. So no, you got to deal with potentially losing, and you got to fight this person every turn. They turn over every rock talking to whatever clients or whatever is allegedly happening. So I don't think he would have been able to find anyone that would have taken over the case. But then you also have to take into account it was with prejudice. It could have been without prejudice, like what just happened in the Russell Simmons case we just discussed. But he did it on his own with prejudice. It wasn't by the court. So that means you can't bring it back. And he's alleging he did it because his client was scared. Like his client seen, according to him, what was happening to Busby online. And then someone came to her house and allegedly, according to her affidavit, they cornered her and they were questioning her and she was terrified. And they also talked to her parents. So that's what she's alleging. And that's supposed to be the reason why she said it's not worth it. I'm done. But if you really just look at it, why not just get rid of Jay-Z then and keep pursuing Diddy? He was the origination. Why didn't you just skip Jay-Z? If you believed in this case, then why didn't you drop Jay-Z and then just go ahead with Diddy? Because you wasn't getting all of that smoke with Diddy. Diddy's attorneys got 55 lawsuits. They ain't got no time to be doing all of this or whatever, trying to find where your mama and your cousins and your brothers and your childhood friends live and all of that. So they didn't do that. So I would look at it from that perspective. Like you could have kept it going even against Diddy and didn't. So I think Busby know that was a case that he may say to the public he believes his client, but I think that he knows that was going to be a difficult fight. And so that's why he dismissed it with prejudice. And I think anybody that logically thinks will probably come up with that opinion. But apparently Jay-Z said it's not enough. He want to win. He want an admission that you lied. And he want to be able to go to the public and say, there is an admission that she lied. He's not okay with it being open, I think with the dismissal with prejudice, I don't think he's okay with the fact that people could still speculate, as we're all still doing, as to why the dismissal happened. He wants it to be out there. This was a dismissal because she lied. So, as an officer of the court, wouldn't Busby be obligated to bring any allegations or threats to the judge? Not necessarily obligated to. I mean, but they can file police reports. Did she file a police report? Did she call the police when they came to her house? There's ways she could have documented these threats. Did she just tell her lawyer that's it? Because I'd have called 911 if I felt like you coming to my house and you weren't invited and you cornering me. But they made it seem like she was inviting them with donuts and tea or something. Like she was calm and she answered the questions and she was good with it. And it could be. That could very well happen. I mean, but so that's what I'm saying. You just don't know what to believe with this person. You just don't even know what to believe. A twist in this Diddy case is going to come forth within the next 60 days. You prophesying or something? This your prophetic word? You got your Brian Karn on tonight, Dev? Huh? Did Busby investigate? And did you call him Bugsby? What Busby alleges is another firm, which I just read in the affidavit, I think it's AV Law Firm. They were the ones who had some type of post about if you were injured or something happened with you with Diddy. People were putting out, I guess, advertisements or marketing that you can contact their firm. She called about that, and then apparently they vetted her according to Busby. Her and other attorneys vetted that firm, and other attorneys vetted this lady, and then he ended up with the case. So did he personally do it? No, he had just met her on the day she did the interview, which I thought was crazy because usually you talk to your clients and you tell them what to stay away from, what not to say. You make sure that stuff is corroborated. And that lady just went out and said things that NBC was able to go basically debunk in a week. So I don't know. The investigators she spoke to said she and the man did interview. Jane Doe says they were not hired by Jay-Z. So let me ask you this, Roberta. Why would somebody randomly, unless you're on YouTube or something and you're just trying to do an interview like NBC, why would you just come and say and ask those type of questions just randomly? If well, okay. All right, that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for making the 400th like. I appreciate that, Steve. I appreciate all of the love on here. But we're going to get out of here. We've been on here for an hour. And this world is too small. What you talking about? Trying to see if I could answer some questions. Val, your cousin over there in Memphis is cool with Whitehead. One of your husband's favorite cousins. They used to go down south and be on the farm together and go use the outhouse as little boys. Climb the trees on the plantation. That cousin. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Granny, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. Now my brother's and him. This is my cousin that used to be like when we would go down south because we were city people. See, they got dropped off in the country all the time. That's where our grandparents lived, was in the country. So he had to go, I used to be scared like of all of that stuff because I'm used to like city life. So literally we were like, they were on a farm. So if you were hungry, you had to go to the chicken coop and get your own eggs if you wanted breakfast. We had bacon with hair on it. They killed their own meats and then I'm still in therapy to this day. And Chellis got dropped off as a kid. Oop, I said your name. He got dropped off as a kid. Let me write that down. I got to talk to my therapist about that. I'm still traumatized. Yes, you got dropped off in the country. You and your brother were always there. Every time we came, we was like, like the country, like 5 houses. We all related. You go down a dirt road, there's no street signs. Like, I'm talking like country. Yes, we have furry bacon. Whew, I don't know. We appreciate you. We had a cousin that we called Eggy because we used to make him go in there because what happens is roosters don't like you going in there to get the eggs, right? So if you had to go in there to get your eggs out the chicken coop, they were going to chase you out of the chicken coop. So we had a cousin we called Eggy because we would have him go in there and get our eggs for us because I was too scared. And so he had all these different like dents on his forehead and stuff from the rooster's plucking his head. Them was the good old days. You said my husband had pig feet with hair on them. Listen, that's that southern thing. That's what they do in the South. They said it's good eating. That's it. Tim Bree said all city kids were shipped off to grandma's house for the summer. Yep, to the farm. Thank you, Tim Bree. It was we lived further though. We lived a little bit further, so we ain't go every Sunday. I mean every summer, but we went enough where I got memories that I can't shake. But I know this cousin right here and his brother, they was always there. They was out there on they was out there on the plantation picking that okra. Our back porch, our grandparents' back porch used to have all the animals just hanging on the back porch. If you went to the outhouse, it might have snakes back there when you got to go to the bathroom. It was like country. Like y'all don't know nothing about that. See, these kids is, they don't know about that. My great grandmother had an outhouse until 87. Yeah, a lot of them still had it until they passed away, like in the 80s and the 90s. They never wanted, not that they couldn't come to the city or they didn't have to, or that they didn't have the opportunities, because a lot of our family don't live in the country. So everybody had the opportunity. That's just the life they were used to, and that's what they chose to do. That's what their comfort level was. So they stayed there until they took their last breath. So, yeah. We about done, Miss Bucket. I'm just up here talking about my childhood memories since my cousin is on here. Tim Bree said, Edgefield, South Carolina with an outhouse, miles from Augusta. Yep, our grandparents was not moving off of there. That wasn't going to happen. It doesn't matter. Was not happening. That was the life they knew. And if you wanted to visit them, you better go head over there to the country. I don't eat eggplant because of picking them as a kid at my grandparents' house. Oh wow, Tracy. See, we all got the same family. I think we all related. Did you just say my daddy was a free man? You are. I'm telling. You tell it. TRS said we pick oranges in the summer. Hated it. Stunk all to be there in the outhouse. Yeah. All right, y'all. You know, I can have our family reunion all night long. So let me get on out of here. You said you love my accent. It actually reminds me of my Ohio family. Yeah, Ohio is right next door. I can see if we all have the same dialect. I still suffer from trauma from the one time I had to use an outhouse. The odor stuck with me, so I still have recurrent. Yeah, so I just cried. You know what I'm saying? I cried and I cried and I cried. So then they just had to go get like the adult potty chair or did like the big buckets or whatever. Cause I couldn't do it. I just cried. I know they was calling my dad like, if you don't come get this little prissy girl and take her back home, because I just couldn't make it. I'm not about that life. All right. I just was not about that life. I cried. I told you if it wasn't for my cousins and them that was there, I would be hungry. I would have fasted 40 days and 40 nights. It was my cousins that were used to that and that would go out and get my food so I could eat. Because other than that, I was just going to starve. I just was not going to make it. And I don't even know how long. We probably could have only been there for 3 days. It just felt like 3 months. I don't even know how long we were there. Okay. We never was there for the whole summer. I think my brothers might have went for the whole summer before, but I never went for me and my little sister. We never went for the whole summer because we were just like not about that life. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it was a great place to learn how to drive because it was nothing but a bunch of dirt roads and land. So a lot of people learn how to drive out there and, and that's it. Toy said, blessing, fam. Thank you for sharing this moment. My grandparents, RIP, Florence Pendexter Williams, Ellery, South Carolina. The outhouse shook me in trauma coming down from Harlem, New York. Rest in peace to your grandparents. Learned a lot from my grandpeople. I sure was. Prissy princess. My bad. I liked running water and toilet paper. Excuse me. I thought that was called necessities. I didn't know that was actually a luxury until I moved down there. I'm moved down there. So we went down there. I'm like, like, this isn't just commonplace that we flush the toilet like this. No? Okay. Tracy said it was the bugs that sent me running and crying. I had never seen a cricket before going down there. And they don't care. Like the bugs, they don't care about bugs. They don't care about rodents. They sit there, talk to you, and it'll be a big rat just, run across, bugs all over them. They just be like, hey, so what are you going to do tomorrow? And it's like flies and stuff just on them. Like, it's just a different way of life, But they were happy. My people from Bertie County, North Carolina. I grew up in NYC. I just had the old house on 54 acres farmland torn down a few years ago. Yeah, and the outhouse. Yeah. Yep, that's what we had. It was a bunch of land, and then it was just a house plopped in the middle of it with a bunch of crops and stuff in the back. Chickens running around with no head. Dinner will be served. The chickens were running around. Just imagine like you live in the city and you pull up and it's like just dogs everywhere, chickens just going around like it's nothing. It was just different, okay? It was just different. But I don't understand. This cousin right here is bougie, but still used to be on the farm. So he was in the music industry, so we had a couple of dollars. So he was bougie yet country. I don't know what I'm saying. He was like bougie country, because he'll go down there and fit right in and go pick up some crops and go kill a couple animals and stuff and go run and fight everybody and all of that. Like fit right in, like this my people, and then go back in the hood. I go back home to the big house, put on your Rolex, go driving your Rolls Royce. Like I couldn't do both. I was just on the bougie side. I couldn't do the country. So he bougie country. They had the best food though. They do. Montgomery Ward's catalog, sheets, corn cobs, no toilet paper in the outhouse. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for this conversation. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It just went all kind of different ways. And so, yeah. I'm going to get off here for real, because this is about to go down for another hour. All right, y'all. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Of course, subscribe to the channel. Until next time. This one I am going to play for my cousin.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you said on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.